the thumb that I can see because it's a big light in front of me. All right, we're gonna everything looks good. I'm waiting to see my face as a cartoon. Like shot. Njideka, look at your camera real quick. There we go. So you see how when you do that, it looks like you're looking right at them, and then I just want to make sure because I don't want you to mess around and constantly be looking at the thing and then be like, the host, you talked to her ear for an hour.
Right.
It's perfect. It's perfect. All right, so first we have to drink water because
Is that a ritual?
No, it's because dehydration's not good.
Oh, it's real.
The last episode, I had the Muses on. It's this amazing couple. I'm obsessed with them. Their version of love is amazing. I'm going to be asking you questions about your version of love too. Yours might also be amazing. Okay. But here's the thing. We were drinking tequila the entire time. I had come fresh out the shower. So imagine me with wet hair drinking tequila. Halfway through the show, my lips got so dry, I just looked like I had just been run through the ringer. I was like, and then what happened? Right. So moving forward, I'm putting Vaseline on my lips before the show starts, and I'm not drinking alcohol until further notice because my liver hurts. We drank a half a bottle of tequila in that episode.
Oh, you got what you deserved.
At one part, Adrian was like sweating a little bit. I was like, oh, we're drunk. It was a great show though. Shout out to the Muses. That beautiful voice you guys hear is Njideka, and the thing I love about your name is I felt so accomplished when I said it correctly. But the joke is to say in Jamaica, but with the twist.
Right.
Do you know what your name means?
Njideka. Yeah, the one that I have is great. It's like what a parent says to a child. Like mine is great.
Oh, that's an affirmation. So here's the thing. I call you a wealth manager.
Yes. Okay.
What do you call yourself?
Money and business coach.
That's money and business coach. That sounds like you're the queen of the world. You got money? Right. Let's go.
I got coaching.
For those who are watching and who are visually seeing this, you are a beautiful woman.
Thank you.
I now want to go back to black hair. I had said I'm never going to get black hair again. And sitting next to you for the past 13 seconds, I now want to go back to having
I'm
black.
reconsidering.
You look like a chocolatey Jessica Rabbit. I love it.
I'll take it.
But then you told me that you're about to go a little bit blondish.
I do this color more often. I usually don't like black.
Really? So here's the thing. The color that I'm wearing is not the color that I wanted.
Okay.
I actually look better with a brighter blonde because of the contrast. I feel like this color is a little bit too close to my skin color. Okay. But whenever I wear the blonde that I like, creepy rich white men keep hitting on me.
Listen, you're exotic.
I don't have a nicer way to put it. I get propositioned a lot.
Okay.
By someone's daddy.
And that's not what you want.
No, no, I'm not looking for a rich old white man. No, just no. So that's why I was like, this color keeps me a little bit more down to earth.
Keeps them at bay.
Keeps them at bay. The reason why I want you on the show today is because for Women's Month, because I love how Valentine's Month and Love Month and Black History Month comes right before Women's Month, right? Because it also feels like we're a footnote a lot of times to both of those narratives. And money is one of those things that I want to talk about, particularly when it comes to not just business owners, but women being empowered with their money. So I have a couple questions I want to ask you around that. But before we get into that, hot topics first.
Okay.
And I'm picking evergreen hot topics that are kind of related to money because I want you to be able to flex your muscle a little bit. Okay. So last year, was it last year? It was last year. Influencer Ari the Don. You know who she is?
Yes.
I feel like I just figured out who she was like a year ago. Now I can't not see her anywhere.
When you say it like that, I'm like, I have to go into my
can see her in
Instagram
page. That's why I said like that. If I said Ari, you'd be like, who's Ari?
Exactly.
But Ari the Don, she went viral when she gave 28.8 acres of land to her boyfriend Moneybag Yo for his 30th birthday. Yes. Half the people were like, yo, that's a flex. That's amazing. The other half was like, girl, he's not even your husband. So my question from the standpoint of not just someone who is in the culture but also understands money, was that a good decision or a bad decision to buy your non-married partner 29 acres of land for a birthday gift?
Obviously, she's the only one that can determine that, right?
Right.
So people got to get out of her pockets.
And that's the first read from our wealth management expert.
Like, that's not your money. She can do what she wants with it.
Right.
But, you know, I mean, I think that in principle, it was a very solid, mature gift offering.
Oh.
For sure. For sure.
Okay. Nice.
Boyfriend, listen, at the end of the day, sure. Okay. aside from the fact, sure, one day a person can be in a relationship and the next day another person can't. Okay, great. That
Right.
Are you still willing to do it? Okay, great. So now that that's off the table, it doesn't even matter. Now let's get to the quality of the gift. And I think that that's a great gift. People give things that, whether it's that devalue,
Cars.
yeah. And other things that, in a year, 2 years, they don't even either want anymore. It's quote unquote out of style. Land doesn't go out of style. It appreciates. And I think that the part of the flex or part of the maturity in that, I mean, whether you approach relationship, whether it's a professional relationship or personal relationship, it is, is like, I bring something to your, I bring something to your life.
You're an asset.
You are
literally an asset.
Literally.
Yeah.
And that's what I bring to you. I bring assets and I am an asset.
Ooh,
know,
flex.
and and if in the case that this doesn't work out, just don't forget that. Don't forget that part.
And you can't take that gift back. Once you get somebody land, it's theirs, right?
It's theirs. It's in their name, yeah.
So here's the thing. A lot of times when people talk about Valentine's Day, we were just coming off that energy. I feel like I just talked to a bunch of my clients about how they dealt with Love Month.
Okay.
People were deeply triggered. I told you I was a little bit late because one of my clients was sobbing like, nobody loved me. And so like, it's interesting when you think about love and money and the way that they intersect, because sometimes money, not sometimes, a lot of times money is used for courtship.
Yes.
Especially when they have those debates about gender wars.
Yes.
And now we've heard about the guys who are like, why do we have to pay for dates? We want to be taken care. Like, people are using money a lot as a way to show their love and to hold back love. Now, back in the day, historically speaking, because, we love historical context, women couldn't have jobs at certain places. They couldn't have certain bank accounts at certain places. Their husbands had to co-sign for them. And it created something called financial abuse. Now, for those of you who have never heard of financial abuse, I decided, because we were going to have an expert here and I did not want to sound dumb, I decided to look up what financial abuse means. And by definition, it involves controlling a victim's ability to acquire, use, or maintain their financial resources. Those who are victimized financially may be prevented from working. They may also have their own money restricted or stolen by their abuser. So a lot of times when men are flexing, well, I pay the bills, why do you care that I want my dick sucked 3 times a day? That's a form of financial abuse, because you're leveraging your money as a way to take away someone's free agency and to act as if they don't have any power. What are some tips that you give people about how to deal with money in relationships? Because I have a question with you about joint accounts. We'll get into that in a second.
Okay.
But like, how do you be healthy financially when you're dating? Because it's a hot topic right now.
I think that you need to understand while you're single what you need. I think that's very important. I reposted something on Valentine's Day and it talked about what you should be doing in your singleness, and that singleness. And
pause. What should we be doing in our singleness? I'm about to take notes. Go ahead.
Whether it is getting your money up, whether it is understanding your own money behaviors, right? Your own limiting beliefs around money and finances, the things that you need when it comes to money and finances, how much you need, whether you're comfortable. You have to assess, right? Yeah, we have to have these levels of awareness. We need to really look back at our family, our lineage, and our family to see what are our beliefs that we learned about money, right? And about power, right? And it's money in its relationship to power. I know with my family, so first generation American, right? Nigerian parents. Shout out to the Nigerian family. Shout out to Ada Chuka.
For those of you who watched the episode that we did with Amy Anayobi from Insecure, you guys know that I am an honorary member of the Nigerian community. Even though I am
Chioma.
You guys have adopted me so many times. I'm just gonna claim it. But yeah, so especially when you come from a family that is an immigrant family, we all know that when you have immigrant families, you know that you guys came here with a purpose.
Right.
It wasn't like, they took us 100 years ago. It's like, no, we got here in the 70s.
Right. Yeah.
With a game plan.
Correct.
And so like there's almost pressure financially when you come from an immigrant family.
Yes. My parents, the way that I saw it, I had two parent, 2-income household.
Nice.
There was never and it was never about a person just having a job. And it's funny now, I think back on that and I'm like, yeah, no, my mom just never had one thing. She always had something else. My dad didn't just have one thing. A lot of stuff they did together.
Oh, I love
so my mom had a
that.
store, she had a shop. She had a fashion shop. My mom went to, she had, I don't know if folks remember, I'm kind of dating myself. If everybody, what is it? Oh my God, what is that? Well, that's what me called. It's a big storage place. Shoppers World.
Not Shoppers World.
No. I'm not thinking right. Anyways, it's now a big storage place at La Brea and Jefferson, kind of between Obama and Jefferson, but on La Brea. But
I
anyways,
love that Obama's a street name.
yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say that.
Shout out to Los Angeles.
I'm gonna definitely. I'm not gonna call it, the other one.
Right. Go ahead.
Anymore. But she always did something. The African Marketplace, right? That was always at Dorsey, right? We always did that. And then she had a store on Crenshaw, and or they do taxes. They've done taxes for
So your whole
so
family
long.
hustles.
All of them.
So that's why you're like this.
That's why.
Because literally when I think of you, I'm like, yo, she probably has a meeting right after. Right. Like, you're always on it.
That's why he said I was sounding like a lawyer because I was on the call.
Oh, yeah. But before Njideka came on, she got here before I did, and she was having a conversation on the phone that a producer thought she must have been a lawyer and not a financial planner. You better make sure my client don't go to... Yeah. Right. That's amazing, though, that you have that in you. But when you're dating, though, does that mean when you were... Because you're in a relationship.
Yes.
And I don't know, I'm not sure how much you want to share, but...
Come on.
She's whole engaged, y'all. Yes. Full disclosure.
Shout out to the business mogul.
Yes. And it's so funny because I think I have like life insurance through him or something. That's when you know that you were hustling for real. Because I went to Njideka I was like, look, I need some money to help. Next thing I know, she was like, I know somebody who get you some life insurance. I was like, I need life insurance. And I was like, wait.
That's the first thing. That's
her boo. And I was like,
that's
you know what?
thing.
Y'all better stop playing. That's amazing.
That's the easiest
Every
thing.
month when that money comes out, I was like, I feel so responsible.
Right.
I'm paying for life
I'm
insurance.
I got my immediate legacy. I have an estate, y'all.
But that's because of you and your partner, right?
Yes.
And so like when you're dating, before you guys met each other and fell in love and built an empire and got it, that's a nice ring, girl.
Thank you.
Can you show the ring to the camera real quick? We're manifesting, loving the show.
Here, right?
If my partner sees this, you see this? Okay, you can put it back down. So like, was that part of you dating him? Was that part of like what attracted you to him? Because when you're a go-getter, for me, I've always made more than all the people I've dated. And it has been an issue sometimes because some men feel very insecure about dating women who are doing financially better than them. How did you navigate that when you were single, and how did that factor into your relationship now?
Well, he and I, we had both been in the financial industry. And so I think that actually was one of the things that worked, was that we understood hustle, we understood ambition, we understood drive, we understood late nights, long days, we understood each other, we understood that language. Aww. And so now comes with, two ambitious people, two strong-minded people.
Alphas.
Two alphas.
Is the furniture like taped down?
Right. It comes with its own learning curves and such, but it was one of those things, and I think it has been one of those things, man. Shout out to him.
Aww.
Hey. Lot of growth. A lot of growth, but
we know what that means.
Yeah,
a lot of growth.
But yes, it was it an appealing and an attracting thing? Absolutely. I think I'm attractive on the outside. He's attractive on the outside, but on the inside, those things, those intangibles that you don't find them a lot, in people necessarily. And so, we both, like I said, the entrepreneur language, we both spoke, and it.
Could you date somebody who had that spirit but didn't have the money to back it up?
Yes.
See, say that again. Could you date somebody who wasn't rich yet but still had the ambition to back it up?
Absolutely. And the work ethic, yes.
A lot of men do not understand that if we're going to the same party and I'm a couple blocks ahead of you, I don't mind as long as we're going to the same party.
Absolutely.
Things
can change all the time. Things can change all the time. All the time.
I made so much money last year and did not talk to you.
Yeah.
Didn't save none of it.
I knew I'll be coming here, so we talk.
Yeah, I know.
I said, you know what? I'm going to call Blue, but you know what? I'm going to see her. So
I made so much money last year and did not save
Blue
a single penny of it.
Yeah, I'm a.
Look, this whole part of me booking the show is me dragging myself. I have my personal trainer come on to explain why I haven't worked out with her in like 3 months. Now you're coming on to explain why I didn't save nothing. I know. You know what I did though? You'll be proud. I took $10,000 and I put it aside last week.
Now where the hell is it?
No, it's in my savings.
Okay, that's another thing.
I'm starting.
Okay.
So I said,
you know what? I'm gonna affirm the initial, the step.
Look, it wasn't like I put like 100. $10,000 hurts. Like that hurts, right? So I was like, no, I'm gonna put this in my savings, and that's my new zero.
Okay.
Because I recognize if
hashtag new zero.
Right? Because let's throw out to them. Let's say you make $250 for the year, right? Yeah. Now I'm using $250 because in LA numbers get skewed. Yeah. In regular America, $250,000 is a lot of money. $100,000 is a lot of money. In Los Angeles, you can make that kind of money and still feel broke around everybody.
Correct.
Like, what? I still have to have a roommate, or I still have to save, or I can't book that flight that I want. You know what I mean? So money is very subjective. And so for people who are listening to us from Middle America, I need you to understand that your $250 or Atlanta, because Atlanta 250 is $1 million.
Right.
In LA,
a lot of places in the South, it's
in LA 250 would probably be considered like 75 grand somewhere else, 60 maybe. You know what I mean? So I thought that like if you make that kind of money, if you're 100,000-aire, that's what I've been calling myself. I'm 100,000-aire because I'm not a millionaire. But you're around millionaires, it skews your perception. And a lot of times you find yourself feeling broke. And because you feel broke, you don't act with any wealth management in mind because you don't think you've arrived yet.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, there's somebody who's made $60K who has a bigger savings account than me.
Absolutely. They absolutely do. As we always
Help
say,
us.
it's not about, it's funny, I'm reading a book called Psychology of Money, which everybody,
it's very emotional.
Everyone needs to read.
I'm going to put that on my list. Psychology of Money.
Yeah, because it's about, it's not just about income, right? Wealth isn't just about income. It's about your behaviors. It is absolutely about your behaviors. It's absolutely about your relationship with money.
Yeah.
Because I can even give you all the tools. I can even give you all the information. I can tell you, you need to put it here, here, here. Put your money here, here, and here. But it's about what's going on in your mind, right? To where you actually executing on that, that comes into play. And so, when I work with people, it's on the teaching because we don't get financial education
at
right?
all.
Whether it's talking about cash flow, so budgeting or debt or credit or, what else? Investments, retirement,
NFTs,
none of
crypto.
that stuff. None of that stuff. All the alternative bucket, right? We don't get any of that stuff, and so it's absolutely accounting. My Jesus, my God, like legit, right?
That was so Nigerian. My Jesus, y'all can't count for
right?
nothing.
Because the more money you make, the more you need to make yourself aware of taxation, right, and tax planning. Right, because you can all day, right? You can make that $250, but are you having a conversation with your CPA or your accountant in order for you to maximize, right, to pay as little as possible to, right? Big brother, i.e. our
I had an assistant last year. Somebody told me like, Blue, where's the 1099? I was like, oh crap! I was just gonna keep on giving him money. They're like, no, like you have to.
Yeah.
Okay, so clearly God's still working on me. This is why you're on the show, because I represent. There's a lot of people who are like me, so I represent them. And there was something that NPR talked about, another hot topic. Last year, NPR had a whole thing about the Great Resignation.
Yes,
a lot of people are like, wait a minute, I could have been done my job remote.
Yes.
I don't really like this job. It's not worth dying for. Fuck all y'all, I quit.
Then what?
And then you're like, oh snap, I'm now self-employed,
right.
i.e. unemployed,
right.
i.e. Can somebody give me a gig? So what do you say to those of us who last year recognized that we were in soul-crushing jobs?
Yeah.
Shout out to the pandemic for making a thing.
Right.
How do you navigate when you're self-employed in this current climate? Like, what should you know? What are the basics to know about money management? Because I'm at the space right now where any money I get now, because I spent so much of it last year, I'm now like, I need to put everything in savings. I need to put everything in a bucket. I need to pay my rent 3 months in advance. My landlord raised my rent because she thought I must have been on a come up because I was paying my rent so early. That was fear. I also told her it wasn't illegal. We had a strongly worded conversation about the law.
Right. This thing called.
I said, ma'am, I'm giving you an extra $100. Be happy and move forth, right? But like, I was doing it out of fear because I did not know what to do with my money and I didn't trust myself to sit with it.
Yeah.
So my first question is, what is the most amount of money you should have in your savings before you start thinking about putting it elsewhere? Because I saw a financial planner on YouTube, and tell me if this is true or not. He saw somebody had like $100K in their savings account. He's like, that's too much. You could have put it somewhere where it could have grown more. And I was like, I'm going to ask you about that. Is there a certain point where putting your money in savings is wasting because it could be making more elsewhere?
So there are different levels of saving. So it depends on who I'm talking to. Okay. It depends on who I'm talking to. For the majority of folks, I'd say probably a lot of the time, the answer is going to be there's other places where it can go because it's not working, because the bank is doing exactly what you should be doing with your money. The bank is doing it, right? With it just sitting there.
So I'm only putting that 10K. I'm putting the rest of it somewhere else.
Right. The bank loves you. Exactly. Right. The bank loves you. And so some of it, it's relative to what is your budget, right? What do you even need as far as your living expenses? What are some of the financial goals that you have? Because all of this is dependent. This depends on what you're doing with it. It's not just, yes, there are certain just kind of okay, 10% should go into savings and investing, for example, right?
Okay.
Maybe about 50%. So 50, 30, 20, right? That's a really popular budget fraction.
Explain what 50, 30, 20 means.
50, 30, 20 rule is just a budgeting strategy where 50% of your money goes into your needs, is going towards things that you need. So that's like the living expenses and so forth. 30% is going towards things that you want. So that could be maybe like towards your goals or whatever the case may be.
Oh, goals? I thought you meant like a trip. Okay, it's my bad.
I mean, goals may trip may get
okay,
needs
may be part
one.
of your goals. Okay.
Right. And then about 10%, I'm sorry, 50, 30, 20. Yeah. Then 20% is going towards savings and investing.
Oh, so it's more percentage based. So if you're putting 20% in your savings, that's fine. 20 in savings and investing.
Mm-hmm. So because okay. Right, and then there's emergency. So in the terms of the savings and investing, right, there are emergency funds, and then there is whatever your investment. What do people call it? Whether your investment oh my God, however you like to do investments, because some people are like, no, just give me straight index funds. That's all I want, or and sprinkle in some mutual funds. That's what I want. You know what? I want I want a stock portfolio. Okay, I don't want just a blue chip stock portfolio, but I want a dividend paying stock portfolio.
And the younger you are, the more risky you can be. Yeah, I've always heard that.
It all depends on. It all depends on what your risk tolerance is.
Oh, that's true.
I may deal with a 20-something-year-old, but they still have a 50-year-old's risk tolerance. Like they still scared.
A 20-year-old Virgo is gonna be like, I'm not
scared
of
everything, right? But part of that scare and fear is about understanding, right?
Yeah.
But yes, theoretically.
But now that I've hit 40, I can't be acting like a 20-year-old in these streets.
Absolutely not. No, absolutely not.
I don't have so much time for y'all to be playing my money before I want all of it back.
Right. So what you're getting at is, yes, when you are younger, you have a longer time, theoretically, a longer time horizon. So you can put your money in more riskier things and it still be fine. That's what that comes from.
So that makes sense. So if you're young and adventurous, go for it. If you're young and scared, go for it a little bit more than you probably would naturally want to, because you have more time than you're probably like accepting. If you're older and bold, sis,
have a plan. You should have a plan either way, but you definitely need a plan.
If you 45, let's say, and reckless, you still need to remember that you're 45.
Listen.
And the reason why I'm being so blunt is because the people who listen to this show, I've gotten a bit of feedback, range from 22 to 60.
Yes.
I'm like, well, damn, that's a very wide demographic. So now I feel like we're talking about money. I have to talk to all of them.
Right.
Now, this is my thinking. I'm thinking I want to have 3 months in savings, period.
Good.
So let's say my cost of living is $5,000 a month. Until I get $15K in my savings, I don't give a fuck what these percentages say. I need to know that I have 3 months liquid that I can access if everything hits the fan. Gotcha. Is that archaic or is that just fear?
I mean, that may just be preference, and preference is fine.
I've always been told that you need 3 months in case everything goes left.
Yeah, 3 to 6. Like some people, 3 to 6.
Okay.
I know people who have 9, and then guess what? We're talking about personal. Hey, here's another thing.
9 months. You're never gonna hear from me again.
I'm not even talking about business.
Okay.
So if you have a business, right? And then there's an emergency fund that you should have for your business as well. Because your business has to, what if you had, think about pandemic, right? During that period of time, one of the reasons why so many companies had to lay so many people off and things, they got outed. They got outed because they didn't have an emergency fund, right? They didn't have reserves. They had to, right? Or their revenue or expense reduction strategies were letting people go, which is just a genuinely like a no name on it, right? For us, we feel it, right? Because we are the people, right? Or it's our family and friends. But for them, it's just a cost reducing.
It's making other people pay for your lack of preparation.
Absolutely. And so why you had other companies that might not have had to take hits like that is because they were just prepared better, right? Or they didn't have to shut down in ways that some companies did, is because they were prepared better. They had
9 months.
Were more liquid. I'm
still stuck that you know somebody who has 9 months of living expenses saved up.
Yeah. That's not common, but yes.
I'm not sure I would get out of bed often if I had. I'm like, look, I got 9 months. I'm gonna see y'all next. Like,
no, that's an out of sight, out of mind. It is, it's working for you. It's not just sitting there doing nothing, right?
It's
true. Working for you. The goal is to not have to need it, right?
At 9 months, though, I'm gonna invest that in something that's gonna give me more than the bank.
Absolutely.
You mentioned something which is a great segue to the next hot topic. Is you mentioned about business having its savings as opposed to just your personal, right? Because a lot of us, when we left our jobs, whatever, we started our own businesses. It also created a little thing called the PPP loan scam. of the 22s and 21s and 2020s. A lot of people went to jail.
I'm about to say, shout out to the folks that's watching me.
Everybody on the block. Blue, not this Blue, another Blue from Pretty Ricky.
Oh, yeah.
He went viral. Yeah. Blue actually followed me, and then I think he unfollowed me.
Oh.
I think maybe my page got a little too real for him. Like, he liked that we had the same name. Then he was like, wait, she with the shits. Let me unfollow her. But Blue from Pretty Ricky sent out a message on February to his hoes saying, I'm so sorry I can't be with y'all for Valentine's Day because I'm in lockup. Y'all have permission to find other people. Fix your face. He said to all the women who I'm not going to be able to finesse for Valentine's Day because I'm in lockup, y'all have permission to be with other people.
Giving permission shouldn't be your priority, right?
I was like, yeah. So the PPP loan scandal, what happened? Because I still don't understand how so many people. I had a business at the time and I didn't get one.
Yeah, and you should have.
I'm the person who y'all stole my money. Yeah. So anybody who's going to jail for PPP loans, I'm happy because I'm bitter that y'all took my money. So the fact that I had a business and I didn't get one, my homeboy made up a business. He got one the next day. We applied at the same time. What went wrong that people who deserved it didn't get it and everybody else was buying crab legs? Like,
wait, you got denied?
Yeah.
Oh, you actually got denied
with a business.
Oh, how long was the business in technically in
like a year? But I know people who made up fake business. My thing is, whether it was 2 minutes or 2 years, people who had no business were getting it. I was like, you know what? Maybe I was too honest on my application. I don't know how to lie.
And you did your own application?
Yeah.
So you probably should have linked up with
you.
Well,
this is where you plug. I should have called you.
So this is correct. So a lot of those people that were getting it, you had people, listen, let's be very, very honest.
Please be honest. Humanize
you
this
had
for me.
people, you had professionals, right? Financial professionals that knew exactly what needed to be put in what slots in order for people to get approved. And so for you, oh, bless your heart, you did it on your own, right? You didn't know what needed to be put in a baby slots in order to get approved for certain amounts, right? Yeah. And so, but to your point, shout out to y'all that have, stayed under the radar and you haven't gotten, you know what I'm saying? They haven't come for you. But
y'all took my money, but yeah, shout out to you, I guess.
But man, the Lord loves you, you know what I'm saying? But right.
You're so Christian. God bless you. You should be in jail.
I was like, listen, but you had so many people. They just knew what to put in the slots, right, in order to get it.
So it was a game about knowing how to pass the test correctly. Yeah,
exactly. And so, but what people needed to do, I know I did a YouTube video on this. What folks needed to do, right? Hopefully, the better moral of that time period was more money was given to business owners, right? Entrepreneurs, small business owners who had their stuff who had their paperwork together and filed, okay? Because you can be a business owner, but you can be getting paid through Cash App only, okay, or Venmo.
She's coming for all of us. She's coming doing that. I'm uncomfortable.
There are certain, right? You had, right? So like, I literally got. I'm not even gonna put my business out there.
It's a safe space, but
I got a lot of money, okay? But it was because I had stuff. I had been filing my taxes, right? And my business has been on there. I have an EIN, right? I have LLC structured, right? There's just different things like that.
Oh, so if you have an EIN, but you haven't been using it and filing your taxes because you thought you were just gonna keep that money, you shot yourself in the foot because now you can't prove why you deserve the loan that you actually qualify for.
Because that was one of the a lot of times with those they wanted to see 2 years worth of tax returns and 1 or 2 years, and even for some of the grants that were being given, they wanted to see 1 or 2 years of tax returns, or they want to see your business license. So they wanted to see that you have been in existence. Particularly, you wanted to be in existence prior to 2020. That's how another way that you were getting stuff. And so,
I see.
So people could have said, but I was in business since 2016. I've been in business since 2005. But have you filed anything?
No, because you didn't want to pay Uncle Sam.
Because you don't want to pay Uncle Sam. Paying Uncle Sam is not listen, there are different ways, right? Talk to your tax advisor, okay? Yep. Or get with a financial advisor, because the combination is...
Pause for question. I want you to plug your pages right now.
Come on now. Hey, listen.
What's your page?
On Instagram, n.o. Okay. The Culture's CFO, the culture's CFO.
Oh, that's very catchy.
Oh, thanks.
I love that. You are the
So
culture's CFO.
N-O, the culture CFO. So N.O. the culture CFO. Definitely click the link in my bio. I'm doing a webinar actually on Saturday. Roadmap to 100K.
What?
Where I
Let's
talk
go.
about-
I'm in there.
yes.
I'm gonna look it up right now while we talking. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm going over the fundamentals of financial planning, but I'm also talking about business and entrepreneurship. How do you get to, what is the roadmap to get to your first 100K in investments, in terms of business income? And honestly, it really will take you to not just 6 figures, but it will take you to 7 figures if you just follow it. So it's not super complicated, but it's absolutely,
We like
absolutely,
7
as
figures
we
now.
always say, it is the stuff that we should have been taught in school that so many of us were not taught.
We were not taught at all because, and that's by design. And
Absolutely.
you
We
know,
can
I'm
go
still
there
in the
but-
Black History Month mood. So
Right.
full disclosure, because we're still doing this
Right.
at the end of February. I'm
Right.
still very much thinking about all the Black history that I've learned about why that's happening. The psychology of money is a very interesting thing because
Yes.
I think it comes back to when you think about relationships, how you could have a partner who's doing well and a partner who's not doing well, and the partner who's doing well could be very supportive, but the one who's not doing well will still feel shame,
Yes.
and it can eat away at the relationship.
For sure.
I was in a relationship where I was with somebody who was an athlete who got hurt, and I had to pay all the bills, and the amount of vitriol that I dealt with being the support system, and I was like, I'm not doing anything to deserve this. And so my friend was like, no, it's because he's upset that he doesn't have it to give. And so my question is, when you're in a relationship, especially when you're marriage minded, right? If you're dating intentionally and you're marriage minded, what are some things that you need to know about money management when you get into the space where you're cohabitating? Because a lot of couples are not getting married yet, but they're moving in together. Do you believe our grandmas who used to always say, don't always have a joint account, have your own money to the side? Or do you think that there's a way that you can join all your money and do it in a healthy way? And this is a hot topic because a Black woman in particular are often taught that we have to have our money separate because we don't know what's going to happen with the men in our lives. You know what I mean? So culturally, we've always been taught that commingling money is not safe. Is it safe? Did we make that up? Is it like, what does that look like from an expert standpoint?
I think this is a belief system. This is partly just what your belief system, partly what your experiences have been around things.
Right.
And so there is no one size fits all. I think, there is, people just are telling you about their experiences, right?
How do you protect yourself on both sides though?
Well, the household that I grew up in was a household where, like I said, both my parents brought income into the household. And so there was a joint account, but were also separate accounts. And so for me and my experience, right, and what I've brought to my own partner was my experience. That brings me some level of comfort just because that's what I grew up with.
So you guys have a joint account that has a intentional purpose, and then you have a separate account for each of you by yourselves that you have full autonomy over.
So right, so that yes, that is the concept. So so housing, house bills, anything that deals with our joint life, whether it is
like rent,
travel,
mortgage, car,
exactly, right? All the house and family, right? Especially when you have children, all of that stuff, right, comes out of one account, and then you guys can decide, right, how much is being contributed. Right. Because here's the other thing is that if you guys are not bringing in equal, if you're not bringing in the same amount of income, then sometimes it is about, okay, the proportion. So 20% of your income and 20% of your income, right? So if you bring in 100,000, your partner brings in 50,000, 20%, because it's still the same dent, if you will, right? It's still the same impact on money. Even though, yes, you're like, but I'm putting in more because it's still 20%.
I love that you mentioned that because you know who I heard that from the first time ever? Susie Orman. You remember her?
I remember her.
Is she still
she's still there. Yeah.
Okay. No, I'm so sorry. You can tell I'm not in money management, but I remember I was watching Susie Orman once at like the dentist or something. And she was getting a call. She used to get phone calls. Is her show still on, or am I out of it? No, I think her show's gone. No,
I don't think she still has her show, but I've definitely seen the videos.
Yeah, and
when people called in,
there was a video she had. And somebody called in, and they were like, "My girlfriend, no, something like my girlfriend makes half as much as me, and so she thinks she doesn't have to pay half the rent or something like that." And Susie Orman said something like about relationship math, where she said, if you make 2,000 and she makes 1,000, your income as a couple is 3,000, right? But then whenever you pay for bills, you're looking at the percentage, like you just said. So if your rent is $1,500, $1,500 is 50% of the couple's like pot, which means you're gonna pay 50%. That makes sense for you, and she's gonna pay 50. That makes sense for her. So her amount ends up being a little bit different because that means she's gonna pay, I guess $750, and you're gonna pay $1,000 or something, right? And so it might look like more to you, but if you're paying the same percentage, it creates like some kind of, what does she call it? Empathy in the relationship because everybody's hit the same.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
if somebody makes twice as much as you, and they plan a vacation and you're not paying the same percentage, they're going to do all types of extravagant things because it's not hitting them the same. And they're going to make their partner feel ashamed that they can't afford it.
Yes.
But if you're paying the same percentage, you're like, oh shit, that $10,000 thing we're doing, I'm paying $7,500. Let me chill.
Yeah.
And that actually creates a space of thinking about the other person.
Yes.
I brought this to my next relationship. Did not go well. He was like, I feel like this is a long-winded way of you saying that you think I'm broke. I was like, oh man. And that's how I knew it wasn't the right person.
Yeah, I'm like, that's...
But you do agree that percentages mean more than 50-50.
Yeah, I mean, again, and it depends on who you're talking
Value
to,
system,
right?
yes.
So, I think so. I think that percentages are quote unquote fair, right? I think
And
that's
intelligent. They're emotionally intelligent.
Yeah, you know. And then to your point or your question about the separate, I think that separate makes sense because it does allow autonomy, right? We are interdependent in relationships, and this is just myself, right? My own thinking. I'm not even talking about my relationship because we have yet to figure out what how everything's going.
We're working through it,
right?
yeah.
But you know, having independent accounts because it also, right, there's unity around that one, right? But then there's also like, I want to be able to go and do XYZ and damn it, I don't want to ask you, right? And then there's the thing about thresholds. So boundaries comes into play. Boundaries, whether they're emotional boundaries, right? Or boundaries in money, it exists and they are there to help and they are there to keep things just safe and, you know, on even keel.
And they're also there to reveal what's not working.
Absolutely.
A lot of people are scared to set boundaries because they're scared if they have that courageous conversation, things that they are not talking about will have to come up.
Yes, but they need to because they're going to come up anyways. You're just slowing it down.
Money is the number one reason people get divorced. It's not cheating. We all think that people get divorced because their husbands are getting their dick sweat elsewhere. Excuse me if there's any children who are listening. But the real thing is it's because you're hiding coins and you're buying things on Amazon and shoving it in the back of the closet. It's really money and the shame around money, particularly in our community.
Yes. Listen, even I think, you know, even from where he and I are right now, we've had absolute conversations.
I can imagine two people who are in money management having a money conversation as a couple.
And it's
y'all
still
need to have a reality show.
And it's still it's difficult, right? It's because we always talk about this. Like we talk to people about money all the time, and it's difficult to have the conversation, even, you know, between each other because you're bringing on ideologies are coming in.
Has there ever been an awkward moment where something was like, "Oh, this is gonna be an awkward one," even though I'm equipped to talk about it, or is it all like, "Look, I'm brave. I'm gonna talk about everything"?
What? No, I'd be like, I'm that one. I'm getting better, okay, with myself, Lord, because I don't be bringing stuff up sometimes, you know.
When's your birthday?
I'm a Libra.
Oh God, I always end up sitting next to a Libra. I was engaged.
Everyone needs a Libra. Watch out.
I was engaged to a Libra.
Okay.
I have dated.
I feel like you've told me this before.
So many Libra. No, literally, I feel like the Libra whisperer. Like I don't know what it is with me. No, seriously.
You gonna make me cough.
I really feel like the Libra. And this is a very sober show, guys. You see how we didn't get drunk on this show because we're talking about money. I wanted to be responsible. No, I have been with a lot of Libras, and the one thing that I know about y'all is when y'all don't feel safe.
Come on.
You
what do we do?
Make concessions to justify a lack of transparency for the greater good. But if you're with somebody who's very direct, it comes off as dishonest because you're like, you didn't tell me. And so it becomes a lie of omission, but because you're doing it for a noble reason, you don't feel, you're like, no, I'm doing it for us.
You know what? This isn't about me, okay?
I didn't tell you for us.
Stop yelling at me.
Okay. Every Libra I've been with, I was like, when you don't tell me for us, you make us mad. I'd rather you just tell me. And it's hard though, right? Especially when you know that something you're about to say might hurt someone.
Yeah.
And because you love them, you're trying to shield them from the hurt, is what you tell yourself. It's not true though.
Right.
As an emotional intelligence coach, this is so funny when two coaches, one about money, one about feelings, start talking.
Right.
Feelings and money.
See, now I'm like,
as an emotional intelligence coach, you're not protecting them, you're protecting yourself from being undesirable. You're not trying to make them not hurt. You don't want to be the source of pain and to feel like you might be rejected for hurting them. So it's not even about them, it's still about you.
Damn you.
Sorry.
You know what? What's the next question?
Next question.
So,
but this is why it's so hard for people, particularly couples, to talk about money.
Yes.
And the minute I was like, yo, she's engaged.
Yeah.
You know, I'm up here paying life insurance because of her and her boo. Like, I believe in them. So I feel like you were the perfect person to talk about money because you understand the emotional aspect of it. Because a lot of times when you watch these videos on YouTube, it's so clinical. And you're like, how do I apply that to real life? Mm-hmm. And so another question I have for you is, when you are trying to, let's say, do something that is a surprise for a partner, or that requires money, but you don't want them to see what you're doing. Let's say I wanted to plan a surprise vacation for my boo. I've been prone to do that back when I was being financially reckless. Taking somebody I had only had sex with twice to Bali was a thing for me. I've learned it was a bad investment. How do you have privacy with money without being duplicitous with your partner? Like, let's say you went to, and I hope he's not watching if this is the real thing. Let's say you went to throw a surprise vacation for him. Do you just throw that money in your private pot and he doesn't have to know about it? Or like, how do you maneuver just keeping things to yourself? Or are you supposed to just tell your partner everything because it's better to be transparent?
Well, I think that's one of the things where the separate accounts come into play.
Right.
I don't want you to see the big purchase. Now, again, a couple may decide that having thresholds, becomes important. Or when it deals with gifts, it's like, okay, after the gift is revealed, I have to now immediately tell you, what cost.
And for threshold, for those who don't understand, that means that there has to be a point where we have to talk about it.
Right.
So anything over 10K or 5K or 2K.
Exactly.
I don't care if you're about to take me to Paris. You need to have a conversation with me about what happened to our money.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. So, that's where that comes in. Those separate accounts come in, right? Where you're able to do things like that. But I'm sorry, what was your question?
No, that actually was a good answer. If you have a threshold, if I was going to plan a trip for my partner and I know our threshold was 5K, I'd probably do the big stuff under that. And then once I revealed it, be like, look, by the way,
right,
I spent an extra 7 on this private jet, bro.
Right.
I hope you like it.
But take the shot.
Seriously, take the shot. I will say this, though. Like, a lot of times when I think about money management, I get tired. Because I feel like when we were working together, you gave me so much homework. And I was just trying to survive and make it in these streets. Yeah. And there's certain words that we use a lot, like broke and rich. Yeah. And I was watching a video recently where a young lady who was 24 was like, yo, I what does she call it? I forgot the term that she used. I'll look up the term, but she was talking about how rich she was and how she was struggling to not let her cost of living increase because she was so rich. And then she revealed she made $65K. Okay. And I said, now, honey, what happened? Where are you rich with $65K? I don't know what part of the South she lived in, but I recognize that money is relative. And so we say words like rich and broke all the time. I have friends who call themselves broke, who have more in savings, more investment, and more whatever than most people I know who call themselves rich. What is your definition of rich and broke?
Girl, bye. That's so relative.
No. I mean, like a formula, right? Like, I would say, if I was to give a formula, let me give an arbitrary one. Okay. Being broke means that if something bad happened, you wouldn't have a month to hold you over. That could be an example where it doesn't have to be an exact amount of numbers, but it can be a scenario. Yeah. Or being rich means that you can take care of yourself and your family and have room for an emergency on top of that. Like, is there a certain guideline about what makes you broke? Because there's some people out there who are listening, who are smug, who are broke and don't know it.
Yeah. Because you can be making, I actually go through this on either this webinar or I did on a prior one. I might include it in this one. You can make $350,000 and be broke, right?
Yeah. It's not what you make; it's what you keep.
It's what you keep.
Yeah.
There you go. One, rich and broke is a mindset, right? So there's partly that to it. But I think everybody has their own threshold. I know, like, my fiance would always, he would say that there was a money. So when his account, for example, let's talk about his personal account, got to a certain place, like it got to a certain dollar amount, he'd be like, I'm broke. Now he's not broke. Okay. And it's
his new zero, like my
10K,
zero. My
exactly.
Got it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So his new #0, right, was a particular amount, right? And so, but then for somebody else, they're like, nah, I still got money, right?
Like, yo, I'm swimming in this money right now.
I'm about to go on the trip right now.
Right.
In fact. So, but I know that for me, if I can do for myself, but I can't do for others, like, that's not good enough, right? We always talk about, now if we go kind of vision and mentality sake, if you can only do for yourself,
talk
right?
about
if
it.
you can only do for yourself and other people don't fit within, right? If you say, like, I was just on a call with AT, shout out to ET, Eric Thomas. I was on a Zoom call that he was speaking on last night, but he talked about how much income do you want to make this year, right? How much do you want to make this year as an entrepreneur? How much do you want to make this year? Now, do other people fit within that, or is that just about you?
Right. Especially in certain communities where we're tribal, like perfect example, as a Black woman living alone in Los Angeles, technically speaking, I'm in the 1%. I have a mother, I got cousins, I got family. Like that, those numbers, I'm not, because you're not factoring in. And there's a term I was looking at while you were talking that I've been talking about a lot with my friends, is network poverty and relational poverty.
Oh, absolutely.
And we don't think about network poverty. Like my salary isn't just about me.
No.
It means if my mom calls me right now and says, baby, the stove is broken,
right,
I'm the one she's expecting to help her pay for it. You know what I mean? Right. And so I think a lot of times we don't think about our tribe and how that factors into money.
For sure.
Can you speak to about network and relational poverty and how we need to stop thinking that our salary is just about us, especially in communities like ours that are very much about, can you help out your cousin in X, Y, and Z?
Yeah. Total transparent moment. So right now my father is actually in like very poor medical health right now. He's actually in the hospital.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
And one of the things that I have thought about, and my siblings and I have had to kind of really have, sibling conversations, sibling Zooms about is, okay, not if, but when my dad gets out, right? When he gets better, when
claim it, yep.
Right? He's going to need support.
Exactly.
And someone's going to have to pay for that. Okay. And mom is not going to do it because we're not going to put, mom has carried us, right? She has carried
your
all
whole
of our lives, right?
She's why you're here.
Exactly. And so it's one of them things, three kids, 6 kids can't take care of one mom, right? 3 kids can't take care of. And so we have to come up with that. And so I know that for myself, it's like, it's not even when I'm working, I'm focusing, I'm trying to get stuff done. It is not part of the urgency. If it was just about me, I don't know, I might not even put in the time, the effort, and as much. But when it's about somebody else, right? That's why sometimes having kids, right? Some people don't, but a lot of times having kids and little people walking around, or having nieces and nephews walking around, and it's like, no, I got to do it for them. It ain't even about me anymore. I got to do it for them. And so for me and for us, I have 2 nieces, but my parents and my father, especially given what's going on right now, it is, we're going to have to pay for, this worker, right? This worker. And so that he doesn't have to go to any facility, and, we can get, the things that we need. And so it is, I got to get it that's when you have those, I got to get it together.
I'm trying not to cry right now. Like, no, seriously, I'm getting so emotional because you're right. Like, if it was because women in particular, and we're talking about Women's Month, women in particular are socialized to make sure that our tribe is okay. We always say, if you feed a woman, you feed a whole nation, right?
Absolutely.
We are not socialized to be good at being selfish. I would not have moved to LA and started my life over in my 30s if I was only doing it for me.
Yeah.
I would have stayed in a safe little bubble in DC. Yeah. And I was like, no, I gotta make more money for my family.
Yeah.
And I will say this, a friend of mine on the East Coast, I'm not gonna cry, she passed away of terminal cancer. She had just turned 40 last summer. Ooh, let me just breathe. And when her family sent out the invitation for the virtual funeral, they also sent out a GoFundMe because they couldn't pay for the funeral. I was okay with the funeral until the GoFundMe, because the amount of a failure I felt that I couldn't just cut them a check, I felt like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like, I literally sobbed for 2 hours that all they needed was like $8,000. And I'm thinking, fuck, between my rent that I'm paying on my own, all my bills, X, Y, and Z, and my mom and my cousins, I can't responsibly give them that $8,000. I felt like such a failure. Yeah. And so, like, I think a lot of us, when we think about money, we have to be honest. We're not doing it for ourselves. When you fuck with my money, you're fucking with my family.
Exactly.
Like, it's not, and money's a symbol of so much emotional stuff.
Yeah.
That's why I'm happy we're having this moment, because I think when people heard about this episode, they're going to be thinking, oh, they're going to be talking about how to save and NFTs and how to get rich. And that's great. But there's an emotional aspect to this that we're not really thinking about. Yeah. Depression has gone up. It's skyrocketed since COVID. That is tied to our ability to feed and take care of ourselves.
Yes. Listen.
Ooh, let me breathe. I'm gonna drink some water. Because I was like, ooh, I almost cried. I almost got the sniffles. Is there a tissue?
So
y'all got tissue? I'm gonna have to produce this to get. So, I do not want to get the sniffles, but money is a very emotional thing for us.
Very much so. But you know what? Turning it to a positive, like, that's the place. That is the that's what you got to tap into in order to do the things that you need to do, in order to be as creative, to hustle and all of that stuff. You got to tap into that, and you got to bottle that, and you have to drink a little bit of that every single day to go and do what you got to do for your family. So right now that I don't want to say that had to happen, but in that happening, it's right, your use for that is fuel to say that will never happen again. I will never get to that place. And so I'm going to make sure that I do what I got to do in order to make sure that I can provide for the people that I want to be able to provide for, right? And so having that, right, having the ability to have options, being able to give to people is such a big thing. You know, a couple years ago, I had a really life-changing thing happen where that did affect my money, right? And I remember
how did it make you feel? Because
it made me feel,
it fucks with your spirit.
Because it absolutely fucks with your spirit. And so, you know, I remember kind of some time after that had happened, and reflecting on this with my fiance, and just being and saying, you know, I felt like a failure, because I couldn't do particularly for my parents, I couldn't do for my family.
That's my Achilles heel
in the way that I wanted to. And it can be very tormenting as well if you don't get a grip on it, you know? And so you have to, you know, I have had to really like do major, you know, it's not just about the money side. It is absolutely one about the belief and what is your self-work look like. You becoming aware of what of just, I think I said this on a call a couple weeks ago to some teammates, but like, you know, when people are in business or are starting their business, people think that it's just about the systems of that business. You know, okay, I gotta, you know, my CRM and my, you know, the content that I'm putting out, and, you know, what is my customer journey going to look like, and my product and this or my service, you know, what is that looking like, and the different systems around those things. But the other thing that you need to get together is your system. What is your system for how you deal with rejection? What is your system for how you deal with frustration? What is your system for how you deal with disappointment? What is your system for how you deal with when you feel like you've let yourself down, right? What is your system for all of that stuff? How do you pour into yourself daily to stay in your most creative space, right? Who do you surround yourself with, right? Your network, right? Who do you surround yourself with in order to even stay in those spaces, right? And so it is beyond, again, it is absolutely a psychology.
It's a mind fuck.
Absolutely.
Especially in major cities like Los Angeles and Atlanta and New York and Miami, where the haves and the have-nots are all friends and cohabitating. And so you'll have somebody who's living in a $2,000 like studio apartment somewhere in the valley, like with friends who make millions, and they're all hanging out together. And it's like you're constantly being confronted with what you have and don't have. And I think one of the interesting things for me is moving to Los Angeles and being so close to people who are at the top of the financial food chain. Some of the richest people in the world live out here. Is I've realized how much money doesn't bring happiness, it just takes away problems. So if you have 99 problems, money could take away about 98. I'm gonna be honest. For people who say money can't buy happiness, but it can take away problems.
Right.
So if I am upset about my mother needing a nurse, money will take away that problem. My father needs help, money can take away that problem. My friend needs a funeral payment, money can take away that problem. But if I'm not working on my self-work, it can't bring me my joy though.
Not at all.
It's taking problems away, but it's not bringing me joy.
It's the same thing as what do you call it? Lottery winners. When we
Yeah.
talk about
Oh
them
my
getting,
God.
right, you
Their lives
getting money,
be sucking,
right?
man. Oh my God.
Because you gave the tool. Money is a tool, right? It is a tool, and it's about what you, right? You choose to do with it. But I can't give you the tool, and I never gave you the instructions to be able to use it. You're gonna mishandle and misuse that tool just all up the wazoo.
Me
right?
all last year.
And so
Sorry. I made so much money. Where'd it go?
And so it doesn't even matter. Like I can give
Right.
you all the money in the world, you'll still lose it because you don't.
Yeah.
Because you know, whether that is the greed part, whatever that might be, or just the mental stability, or you being grounded. You know, in terms of just your perspective on things, you have to get you right. That comes before. Talk about or what is it? The
Chicken versus the egg.
Chicken versus the egg. Like what comes first? Listen, but I know that for sure has to come first. So sometimes people, you know, you have different people on Instagram or whatever. A lot of us, right? We talk about wealth, and it's like, well, how can you talk to people about wealth? Because there are so many things that come before wealth.
Yeah.
There's so many things that come before wealth. There's in the book, and I forget, it's two gentlemen that he talks that he
What is that,
highlights.
Psychology of Money?
Psychology of Money.
I'm gonna get that book immediately.
Two gentlemen that he talks about, and he talks about one being a janitor, one who was a janitor, and then one who was a wealthy, I think, businessman from that graduated from Harvard, and how when they both passed away, it was the janitor that was able to give, I think, maybe $2 million to family, and I think $6 million to some charities. I think in philanthropic donation, and the wealthy, right, the other person gave debt, right, left debt. And headache for the estate.
See, that doesn't surprise me, because earlier when I said it's not what you make, it's what you keep.
Absolutely,
it's because I was watching I watched so much Oprah growing up. I feel like everything comes back to an episode of Oprah.
Everything.
Shout out to Oprah for
All life.
My entire childhood was shaped by listening to Tupac and Oprah. I don't know what that says about me as a person.
Interesting.
I'm an emotionally intelligent goon.
Right.
But she told a story about how an old lady in the South made $18,000 a year and left millions to her family. Yeah. And that's when the financial advisor there was like, it's not what you make, it's what you keep.
Absolutely.
And I was like, oh my God, because I know people who make millions but spend millions. And I know people who make half of what I make, who could blow me out the water with their ability to have like savings and whatnot.
And disclaimer, caveat, disclaimer, whatever. I don't even know what the word is, but one of them things.
Side note, asterisk, footnote.
Right. That, what you keep, it's the part of the spending, right? Spending is that's a component of what you keep. The other part of what you keep is taxes. Okay, so if you are not set up taxes wise,
we all heard about Wesley Snipes, y'all. Right? Cautionary tales.
You will lose, right? You are missing out. You are giving away a lot more than, right? So you can bring in the 100,000, you could bring in the million, but do you know what to do with it, where to put it, right?
Is 25% a good amount to put away whenever you get non-tax money? What is there like a certain percent?
People say 25 to 30%.
30. Oof.
As just a number. And if you have a great tax person, bookkeeper, accountant, whatever, that knows where money needs to go and so forth in legal ways, excuse me.
I love how, because we're on camera, so everything we're talking about on the show is legal. I want my
the tax code is there, the cheat code.
My
is
tax professionals who are watching this to not hit us up and be like, Blue said she made what? I didn't.
Exactly.
We didn't use no real numbers.
Nope.
It was all arbitrary numbers.
None.
You remember how I told you it was going to fly by? We're just getting started and the hour's already about to.
Oh,
you see that? But you see that, right?
Dang, we just got into it.
We just did I not warn you?
We just got into the meat of things.
I'm gonna start doing 2-hour episodes because nobody ever you would think an hour would be a long conversation. Right. No, it flies by because we're humanizing.
Come
you
on,
see that plug? I will say this, listening to you, and I'm trying to regurgitate back for the cheat sheet for those who have been listening to this conversation. What I'm hearing, first of all, is that money is also how do I say this? It shows you how you feel about yourself. The way you treat your money often is a reflection of how you feel empowered. Disempowered people tend to do retail therapy, tend to overspend. They tend to like throw money at things because they're trying to find their joy. And so a lot of times, if you want to be healthy with your money, you have to be healthy with yourself first.
Yeah,
that's one of the things. Yeah. Second thing was that like, if you are someone who has gigs, or because gig culture is huge now because of the Great Resignation. Yes. If you have gigs, freelance, or whatever, please put aside at least 30% of your income in a savings account or whatever you need, because when the tax man are coming.
Listen, just be ready.
So a bunch of rich people on the podcast were talking recently, and I love how men, when they're being toxic, just get a podcast these days.
Right, right.
The barbershop be damned. This is a podcast.
Right.
They were like, I know you broke if you told me you even got a tax refund. And I was like, well, way to shame the community.
Right. Now, right.
I was just like, that's just mean. I mean, it might be accurate though.
Well, it's not about being.
They're broke. Like, if you're rich, you giving money to the government. If you're poor, you're getting money from the government. Is that true?
Well, okay. So,
and if it is, say it in a nicer way.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, that's
so
mean.
There are rebates too. So okay. It depends. So, right, owing is not bad. Also, owing in and of itself is not a bad thing.
Hustlers owe the government. That's what they said.
Listen, okay? So now it's about how much you pay, right? Yeah. You don't want to overpay nobody nothing.
That's true.
So because part of whether it's gig culture, 1099, right, having a business, LLC, whatever, S corp, whatever you're choosing to do, versus versus being an employee. Entrepreneurs are getting their money up front, all of their money up front, and choosing, right, deciding how much, ideally anyways, right, deciding how much to pay, right, the IRS later. While employees, they let the IRS choose what they're going to take, or they let the IRS take the money up front and wait for a callback. Exactly. They wait to see how much they're going to get back, right, later. They give, right, we always call it tax-free loans to the IRS. And so there are companies, multi-million-dollar companies that get quote unquote rebates or refunds. Right? It is basically even a credit. So it's not that they're getting like an actual check of whatever it is, but they are able to get somewhat credits that a lot of times they will hold on to. They will use it in the next years.
So they're more clever about how to maneuver their money.
Yes.
The guy who was trying to run for president, Mitch, what was his name? Mitch McConnell, was that his name?
Yeah, I was about to say.
My friend who had just become a millionaire because she got a government contract and instantly went from like wanting to sleep in my basement to being a millionaire.
Okay.
I learned a lot from that. Watching somebody go from broke to a millionaire in a week and seeing how it ate at her soul, I was like, ooh, there is worth in the journey, because the journey teaches you lessons that if you get it instantly, you don't learn.
Yeah.
But one of the things
the journey teaches you,
and watching somebody skip the journey and how much it. I will never skip the journey again.
Yeah.
But she had mentioned when she was flexing one day, and I was like, girl, you were broke 2 months ago. Like, you talking a lot of shit. She was like, Mitch McConnell is technically unemployed. Like, rich people are technically unemployed according to the government because they file everything under their businesses in X, Y, and Z. And I was like, what you just said is rich people are empowered to know how to maneuver the system in a way that impoverished people aren't. That's not because they're stupid. It's because they weren't even armed with the tools.
Right.
And I think a lot of people, particularly people of color, will get the tools, and instead of giving them out, they'll be smug.
Yeah.
And act as if you being broke is a character flaw and not a byproduct of your lack of opportunities.
Yeah. No one's smarter than, it's not about smarts.
The dumbest broads be rich as hell on Instagram. And I'm like, somebody gave you a toolkit that somebody else didn't get. I need you to chill out with I'm popping. I'm like, well, that's great, but like, you should have a little humility that you were afforded opportunities and resources that other people weren't. Like Ari, like I actually think Ari's a lovely young lady and I wish her the best. But I got a little bit upset with her earlier this year when she got pushed back for saying some really socially insensitive things about domestic violence. And her response was, well, I got dropped from Fenty, but I made $200K in the first week of the year. So what y'all really saying? You knowing how to finesse the system and your rapper boyfriend and the opportunities that being with him has given you to make that money doesn't make you any better than the people who gave you a valid feedback about you being callous. And I really think that one of the things I want to get through in this episode is money just shows how well you know how to move a system, but it should not be the be all and end all of your worth as a person.
Yeah, it's not a the litmus test. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but like it's not an indicator, correct, of your intelligence,
of you being a brilliant person.
No, it is your ability. It's more an ability to, whether it's be strategic, it's an ability to it is you having gotten information and your ability to execute and your ability to execute. It is for sure. It's
and resources like you. Like if I had you last year, we'd be having a different conversation.
Right? You might be buying property right now.
I mean, so here's the thing. So now that now that I'm in this point of like, look, Blue, you are a self-employed woman who is constantly working and does not save, but is constantly helping out other people. I've had to have conversations with myself. Pause. What does this money represent?
Yes.
Because another thing that Oprah said, God, why is she coming up so much? You know why? Because she's rich as hell.
Come on.
She's the richest person who knows my name.
Come on. Does she?
Yeah.
Well, next time you're with her.
No, she doesn't mean like, she sent me a present one time. I said something that made her cry. It's a whole other episode. Okay. But one of the things that she always said is when she started getting rich, she took away the assumption from her friends that she would pay for everything. Because what is baked into that? Yes. You're assuming that I'm going to pay for your companionship. I'm going to pay for my meal.
Right.
The idea that Oprah's going to split the bill with you, I was like, well, if Oprah can split the bill, because she said she was saying yes to things because she felt like she had to.
Boundaries.
Not because she wanted to.
Listen, boundaries protect you.
She only gives real... She only gives real yeses. And so for anybody who's listening, if you're keeping track of the gems that we're getting from this episode, because you really have to come back. We're gonna have you come back after I've got my money together with you.
How many times?
Yeah. And my friend Carla, who I recommended to you, she loves you. She's coming on the show
for
Women's Month. Isn't it funny that I recommended Carla to you, and you two were the first people that I booked for Women's Month? I was like, look at that, that's perfect. Obviously. No, but it's like I learned from you that like I need to be more respectful of my money as a sign of being respectful to myself.
Absolutely. Ooh, honoring. Lord,
if I honor my money, I'm honoring to the point where when I put my money in my wallet now, I put it all facing the same way. I'm even gentle, even shoving money, because I'm all about manifesting. When you get money from the bank and you just shove it in your pocket or shove it in the bottom of your purse, in that money, you're just like, I stop and say, hold on, I don't care how long the line is behind me.
Right, let me fold it.
I'm going to fold it, put it. That's how much respect I've started showing to my money. And I will say this, I gave up a 6-figure opportunity last year. Won't get too much into that for legal reasons. I've signed paperwork.
Come on.
But I realized when I lost those 6 figures that number one, I was abundant enough to still make enough to survive. but I have now become more mindful of my money because it's closer to me. Sometimes when you make a lot of money, you become detached from it. And so my thing to anybody who's getting a glow up or a come up, when you make a lot of money, do not forget the value it had to you when you didn't have any. Because a lot of us forget the value of money. I feel like you're not on that list. I feel like you could be a trillionaire. You'd be like, so how much was that plus tax?
I for sure am conscious of and
of every penny. That's how people stay rich, right?
Yeah.
Rich folks are penny pinching while people like me who are nouveau riche.
But I think the other part of what you were saying, like, is to have but to also have the confidence. So it's to be respectful of the tool, right?
Yes.
And understand it's just a tool. It's not an indicator of,
if you're a good person or
right,
not.
right. But to also know that, I know my fiance always says that it comes and goes.
It does.
That it comes and goes. Be grounded in it comes and goes. And that as long as you yourself have enough value, right? Because you have to value yourself. As long as you have enough value, you can always get it back.
That's true.
You can always get it back.
I know so many millionaires who have told me that they've lost $1 million and made it back. And the confidence to know that you can make it back when you lose it.
Yeah.
That's what you need to hold on to. Not the money itself, but the confidence that you can always attract it.
That's right.
For those of you who are following us on YouTube, please check out somewhere on my page. Maybe I'll repost it. The money mantra. I've started doing. Last year, at the beginning of the year, I started doing the money mantra every day for 21 days. Ended up doubling my income that year. I don't know if it worked, but let's go ching ching ching. I'm gonna send it to you. I'm gonna send you the money mantra. It worked for me, and I had no guidance. Okay, in the dark, just making money.
Right.
I'm like, oh, it's more money. But I really want you guys this year, for us, especially as women of color, who are always giving our money away or using it as an apology to people or a way to connect to folks. And to also the men out there who are watching who throw money and they be tricking because they don't have any emotional intelligence.
I thought this was about to be a respectful inclusion of males. And then
there are men who trick because they don't know how else to connect. I need you to know.
I've seen. Anyways, I'm not even going to bring that.
I know
what
you're in Los Angeles. I know what you see. Yes, I need you to know that your money does not make you.
No,
and money just helps you become more of what you already are.
Absolutely,
that's it. Money makes you more of what you already are. If you are a good person, when you get money, you will do it for good. Yeah. If you have a friend who has gotten rich and acted brand new, that happened to me recently. That friend was always an asshole. They just weren't too broke to show it.
Yeah.
So remember that money makes you more.
You talking about me reading?
What? No,
that's it right there.
I have a couple friends who acted brand new, and I was like, no, they're not being new. This is them.
This is them.
The mask of brokenness revealed the real them. And just the flags. When I first met you, you were talking, and you were like, and you mentioned Njideka, and I was like, wait, she be talking to Njideka about money and stuff? And
I didn't talk about Njideka about no money.
You were talking about like Nigerians.
Oh, yeah, at the conference.
Anyway. I remember, child. Yes. I be remembering stuff.
Look at your mind.
I remember stuff. But one of the things that made me want to reach out to you was the fact that you believe that money can be used to help the community and that it doesn't have to be seen as the enemy. Sometimes when we talk about capitalism, we mistake, and we're going to get into that when you come back.
Okay.
We mistake talking about capitalism. We're wrapping up. We mistake talking about capitalism as us saying that money cannot help our community.
Yes.
And that is a missed opportunity.
Yes. Whew.
That is the book. That's the cliffhanger.
That's a whole conversation.
That is my way of knowing that I know I have a way to get you to come back.
You didn't have to make create no way. All you got to do is ask the question.
One last time, where can they find you? I know a lot of folks are probably want to hit you up after this.
Instagram. My name is Njideka Obijiaku.
Oh, I love it. You better represent for the culture. Yes.
Nigerian Igbo. What's up, y'all? But my Instagram handle is n.o. The culture is CFO. So if you go there, literally DM me again. Register for my webinar that I'm doing. But yeah, just come check me out. Follow me. All of that great stuff.
You're amazing. Thank you for coming in. I think a lot of folks have learned a lot and probably giving themselves permission to stop beating themselves up from this episode. Because I know a lot of folks walked into 2022 feeling uncertain and maybe broke. Yeah. Whether they were or not, just feeling broke is a thing. So I want to thank you.
Broke is a mindset, y'all. Broke is a mindset.
Broke is a mindset. I tell people all the time. I always all the time. I am having a low cash flow right now, is what I'll say. But I'm not a broke person. I'm not a poor person. Nothing about me is broke or poor. So guys, please think abundantly, and then the money will come.
Yes.
Bye.
Yes.